My name's Anna Paolucci. I think I know some of you, but for those that don't know me, nice to meet you. I run education partnerships out of New York City for Slooh. I'm joined by Paul Cox, who's our Chief Astronomical Officer, as you see here, and Dr. John Boisvert, who's our Director of Curriculum. And we're really grateful for you all being here today. We can't wait to chat with you about Slooh and how it's used in higher ed. All right, so let's dive into it. Here is our agenda for our 30 minutes together today. I'm going to start with an introduction to Slooh and what we are if you're new. I'll talk a bit about our mission and our network. Then I'll show you who's using Slooh and give you a brief introduction as to how they're using Slooh. Then I'm going to hand it over to Paul for the fun part. We'll see Slooh in action. We'll be seeing some live objects today on the telescopes. I think maybe just the sun actually due to weather, but still should be great. And then we'll pass it over to Dr. Boisvert, who actually taught astronomy, a lecture course at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, and Southern Nevada, and he is going to talk about the curriculum. Then at the end, we'll do a brief Q&A, but we're also recording this, and I'll be sending it out later, so we can continue the conversation one-on-one, and I can answer more questions then as well. All right, so let's start at the very beginning. I know a lot of you are new here. So what is Slooh? We are a live online telescope platform with full space science curriculum for K through 12 and higher ed, of course. So we've got fifth graders using the platform. We've got graduate students using the platform. It's really for students of different ages, backgrounds, expertise in astronomy. Our mantra is really space for everyone, a little bit of a pun in there. But in using the platform, students are actually able to control our telescopes themselves from their computer and capture images of various astronomical objects along the way, really giving them a glimpse of what it's like to be a real astronomer. We've got over 10 telescopes located around the world that students can switch between. It's all live. And then our curriculum is made up of pre-built lessons or lab activities that we call quests. It's an important vocab word to remember throughout this session is quests. And those are really designed to fit into any educator's syllabus. We're really about inspiring students with real world exploration. So it's hands-on learning, but it allows students to follow a curriculum and make discoveries of their own and kind of personalize their experience learning, especially at the higher ed level where students have more autonomy and hopefully curiosity about space science. I always like to mention too, we don't ever want to replace the experience of students really getting out there at night with the equipment and observing, but this is a really great alternative if there's bad weather or limited access to proper equipment. I think our network in particular too can really expand students' access to the kinds of objects that they can observe as well. Now that kind of ties me in to our next slide about Slooh's network. So the Slooh telescopes are located at observatories in the Canary Islands, Chile, and Australia. So we're delivering students, weather permitting, of course, 24-hour time zone coverage of the night sky to explore, which is pretty cool. And I think what really sets the platform apart is the network is extremely scalable. So it's designed that students can not only schedule their own time slots in the telescopes where they're in control each day, but also join anyone else's time slot. So it's a very public telescope reservation system. Anyone can just hop online, see where the telescopes are pointed at any given moment, and capture an image, which Paul will show you shortly. And I think we really wanted to focus on scalability so that as many students as possible could use Slooh simultaneously, and it could just be a platform that's as accessible as possible. That also ties into our mission, which I always think is important to highlight. Our mission is really just to provide equitable opportunities for students to explore space and learn astronomy, and also to get students inspired and excited to pursue careers in the space industry. And we're actually working on a bunch of initiatives with the space industry and a CTE program within Slooh to really help show students a clear pathway from Slooh and their astronomy courses with some of you guys to an actual career in the field. Now, before we go into the platform, I want to chat a bit about who is using Slooh and how. Here are just some of our higher ed logos that we're currently working with. I always like to mention we have a really good renewal rate, so I like to brag about it. Over 90% of schools that adopt Slooh renew for a second year or semester, and I think that's quite telling. But as you can see, we really fit into any kind of astronomy course. So to list a few, were used in large Astro 101 lectures that are like 300 plus students at Purdue University and University of Nevada, Reno, and University of New Hampshire, were used in some smaller observational courses like at Bucknell and Princeton, or even advanced major courses like at Cornell. We're also super popular in astronomy clubs at universities, like at the University of Maine, or in like a department-wide community setting, like at the UAE University. Purdue University also does a K through 12 outreach program to engage younger students over the weekends. So this is just to show you there's a ton of settings in the higher ed space that Slooh can fit into and add to and expand. We also have different account license options for different levels. I know the target here is mainly Astro 101 license, and these start at $30 a student. We can talk more about that later and clear up the different accounts for you. We also have astronomy major license, graduate research license, and then site-wide department license as well. So what are some of the ways in which they're actually using Slooh? So most of our professors use Slooh as for our college curriculum, right? Our quests, and they assign these as weekly homework. So here is a sample syllabus. I love to show this from Dr. Robert Austin of Purdue University, one of our awesome partners. And he assigns one quest per week, aligning it with the topic covered in the textbook and the lecture that the students are learning. And Dr. Boisvert, who wrote these quests, is going to obviously be expanding on what the quests kind of encompass and all the different topics that they cover. The quests can also be done as in-class lab activities. You can have students collaborate on them or present their work to one another. But also some teachers don't use the curriculum and they just kind of use Slooh in their own way, or they have students solely use it for observing and collecting data and research purposes at maybe a more advanced level. There's also a ton of space in the platform, Paul will show you, for community sharing and engagement, which I think is a really special part of the community that we have on there. We have a great kind of social media aspect of it. Paul mentioned an observation this morning that a student posted of the sun, and I think that type of community sharing and social media aspect is especially engaging for larger scale classes to really get the students to interact with one another and share with one another. You can always make it an extra credit assignment to really give them some incentive. But yeah, this just kind of scratches the surface on all the different things that you can do on Slooh, hopefully gives you a brief introduction if you're very new to it. And now I'm going to turn it over to Paul for Slooh in action.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm just going to grab the screen and show you the platform. Right. Here we go. You can all see that. Now then, we mentioned live telescopes. That's what is so unique about Slooh's learning experience here. And before I show you the rest of the platform, I want to take you straight to the live telescopes. This is the dashboard. I'm logged in as any user, and we can see there's a little green button up here that says telescopes, which is pretty cool. So if I click on that, we can scroll down here and we can see we've got 2 telescopes online at the moment. I'm going to hop straight over to the Canary 5 telescope, which is one of our most popular. It's actually the smallest telescope, but it's very specialist. This is a live video feed from somebody saying they can't see my screen. It's still seeing Anna's.
Is that better? I just stopped sharing mine.
Have you just done it? So are we okay now? Yay. Okay, Benjamin can see it. Thank you. This is a live view of the sun using our Canary 5 solar telescope. It's showing us the chromosphere, so it's showing us hydrogen alpha view. It's a live video feed at the Institute of Astrophysics of the Canary Islands, 8,000 feet up on a volcano. And while we're here, I can never come to this page or any of the telescope pages without clicking a single button, because I'm going to show you how easy it is for your students to acquire data. That little capture button, the little camera button, I have just captured my own image from that live feed, and there is the image. That I'll show you where that's going to land up in a second, but we can see the amount of solar activity that's going on at the moment. But I don't know if you noticed, but Anna said 24-hour astronomy. Well, the sun's still up in the Canary Islands, but Australia 1 is online. This telescope, I know your students are slightly older than some of the students who are using Slooh, but frankly, some of your students could fit inside the Australia 1 telescope. It's a half-meter telescope, and this is a live view. Now, we didn't set this mission up, actually. This is interesting. It's a member has scheduled for a comet using coordinates, and that's actually one of the features of one of our account types, which we can talk about later. But you can see here, this is our patented technology, which is taking real-time data from research-grade CCD cameras, which are massive. They weigh about 15 kilograms, 25 pounds, something like that, on the back of these half-meter telescopes. But once again, your students can just come in here and they can click that capture button, and they've captured their own image, in this particular case of Bennett 48. So I just wanted to show you that right at the outset. There's loads more to show you. So we're going to go back to the starting point, which is called the dashboard. Now, I'm logged in with my educator accounts. This is exactly the same view that you would see. And I'm just going to whiz through this quite quickly because we don't have too much time. First thing you'll see is that we have live star parties. We've got our space science classes starting again on November 12th. They're going to be every 2 weeks. And all of your students, everything I show you, by the way, all students have access to all of it as part of their general membership. But we can scroll through here. We've got the Blaze Star. This is the Nova that we're waiting to go Nova and absolutely, blow its top, as it says. It's a little bit late, and it's getting rather low in the evening. Then we've got a special show about the Europa Clipper mission, which is going to be absolutely fascinating. We've got some terrific guests from JPL, where we're also going to be talking about workforce development. So anyway, there you go. We've got upcoming celestial events. Then we've got our announcements panel. And I will just mention one thing while I'm here. And it's gravity points. You'll see gravity points. John will talk about them as related to our Quest learning activities. Gravity points are Slooh's currency. Every action that your student takes on Slooh's platform earns them gravity points. Now, I always say to people, I was really skeptical when we launched gamification like this because I've never played a computer game in my life. I'm an absolute nerd, but I don't play computer games. I was astonished at the engagement that gravity points drove. Our most successful university using Slooh's platform over the last 4 or 5 years is the University of Oldenburg. And Professor Bjorn Popp there, he assigns a few of these Quest learning activities, but then to pass his Astro 101 course, he says there's lots of other elements as well to his course, but he says to his students, you have to earn 3,000 Slooh gravity points. I don't care how you do it. You can control the telescopes, you can capture images, you can do quests, you can share observations, you can do anything. But you've got to, and that has driven the engagement in his Astro 101 courses dramatically. University of New Hampshire do roughly the same thing. So yeah, announcements panel, observations. An observation is an image that a student captures and shares with the community. Now, you have full control over whether or not your students can share just to your own private workspace, which I'll show you in a second, or can interact with the rest of the community. This particular student, this was posted this morning, absolutely incredible. They've taken some photos. One of these is last month and the other one was today. And it's actually showing the 2 different ways that we show the sun using the Slooh solar telescope. So we're seeing the photosphere and the chromosphere here, which has been absolutely extraordinary. So that's an absolutely superb example of an observation. I'm going to scroll down fairly quickly because I want to show you how easy it is to control the telescopes in a sec. So we're scrolling down. So these are workspaces, show you that in a sec. Here are the telescopes. So we can see we've got 3 observatories, as Anna said, Canary Islands, Australia, and Chile. And we've got a countdown for when these are going to come online. So we've got another 6 hours, 7 hours to wait for Chile, but only, only 2 hours, no, an hour actually to wait until sunset. So we're going to lose the sun in that view. Missions are a really important element of Slooh. A mission is a 5 or 10 minute period of time where one student has selected the target for one of the telescopes. But what you just saw there right at the outset of this little demo is Slooh's like a celestial jukebox. Although one student has selected that particular object. All students can watch all of the live views and capture images from all of the missions. Now, if they can't watch the live streams from the telescopes, any of their own missions, all of that data is automatically saved for them in an area I'll show you in a minute. But other students can also join a mission so that the data is also saved automatically for them. So those are missions. We've got 3 featured objects all the time here. You can see here, actually, I've got one scheduled already, but the featured missions are, I pick 3 objects a week. They're the most interesting or timely objects that particular week. So we've got the Blaze Star because we're still waiting, and students are desperate to be the first person to spot the Blaze Star going over. We've also got that lovely, lovely comet at the moment. And we've got Jupiter as well, which is approaching opposite, which is looking astonishing. It's as simple as this. If they want to join that mission, they just have to click join mission again. You can see a forecast in there and a bit more information. I've joined that mission. All of the images and data from that mission will be automatically saved for me, but I can also watch it myself. Those are my past missions. I'm not going to go into those too much. John is going to talk about our Quest learning activities, and they will knock your socks off. But here's my photo area. So if you remember a minute ago, 3 minutes ago, I snapped a couple of images from the live telescope feeds. One was from the sun, and the other one was Bennett 48 from that Australia 1 mission. So that's a half-meter telescope. I often, if I'm doing a student webinar, I still find this incredible. I've been doing it 20 years. I still find it incredible. That telescope, if you wanted to go out and buy all of that, without the dome to go over the top of it, you're talking about $200,000. And your students are controlling that robotically, just like professional astronomers do now. Because when I go to the observatories, there's never any professional astronomers there anymore because they're all working remotely. And that's exactly what your students do. But there is my image. I can go into here. I can share it. I can download it. It's also available for my Quest as well, which John will show you. So let's hop back to the dashboard. Didn't save my space because I didn't use the back button. So that was my photos. Sorry, scrolling down. Machine's doing lots of things. By the way, you can see that I joined that other mission for the comet, and it's now showing up in my missions, my upcoming missions. So that was my photos, and now we're at the bottom. So I want to show you 2 things now very quickly. One is how simple it is for your students to control the telescopes, and the second one is the 3 simple steps that an educator has to take when you first join Slooh, because you're going to be really surprised at how simple it is and how simple it is we've made it for you. Because we've picked up over the years that educators seem to work quite hard, right? So we want to make your lives easy. Anyway, to schedule the telescopes, we're going up to telescopes. We're going to schedule mission. And the easiest way of scheduling a mission is with the Slooh 1000. The Slooh 1000 is a list that I curate of 1,000 of the most beautiful and/or interesting objects in the night sky. And step 1 is choosing the category, and that happens to be object types. So you can see here we got planets, minor planets, comets, the moon, all the phases, open star clusters, all sorts of different nebulae, all sorts of different types of galaxies, and then we've got stars and supernova remnants and all sorts of things. I quite fancy an emission nebulae at the moment, so I'm going to select that as my category. So that's step 1. What our system's done there, you saw it was doing some calculation. It's looking at all of the emission nebulae in the Slooh 1000, which are visible over the upcoming 7 days on any of the telescopes, because your students can schedule a mission anytime over the next 7 days. So what it's done is it's provided us with a list. Anything in bold is an emission nebula, which is visible over the upcoming 7 days, which you can see there's quite a few of. And are there any gray ones? Yeah, there's a couple there. Gosh, that's an unusual time of year because virtually all of the emission nebulae are visible. There's a couple here that are student favorites, especially since last night was Halloween. We've got Thor's helmet, but we've got the Tarantula Nebula there as well. I'm going to click that. Step 3 is preview the mission, and it's telling me the Tarantula Nebula is going to be scheduled at 02:25 UTC on Saturday, November the 2nd. That's actually tonight. using the Chile 2 17-inch telescope. All I have to do is say schedule mission. That is as simple as it needs to be for your students to control Slooh's telescope. So that mission's going to run, all of the data is going to be automatically saved for them in the morning. But because we're here with you lot, you might be interested that there are other ways of scheduling the telescopes with our advanced missions, so they can go by catalog and stuff like that. But if they go by telescope, they go over there, they can select which telescope they want. I'll take a bit of time, hop over to Canary 1, and we can select the day and scroll down. And now your students can select, so we've chosen the telescope, the date, the time. We can either schedule with the Slooh 1000, we can schedule by catalog, of which there are 18 in total, or they can schedule by entering J2000 coordinates. So that's it. That's as simple as it is to use telescopes. We've already seen some live views. I want to show you 3 simple steps. I'm sorry, John, I'm overrunning, but I want to do this. We're going to hop over to Workspace. So when you first log in, there's only 3 things that you need to do. The first one is click that button to create a workspace. Once you've created your workspace, it opens up in here. And your second step is to go to the Students tab, press the Invite Student button, put their first name, last name, email address in, send invitation. They receive an email. You click the link, they're automatically added to your workspace, and you see them in your roster of students down here. The third thing that you're going to do is you're going to assign Quest learning activities. By the way, a workspace has their own observations in here. You've got your own discussion area in here as well. You can also see the roster. We've got school leaderboards that you can enter, but you're going to want to go over to step 3, assignments, and you can add an assignment, which is basically assign a Quest learning activity to either all of your students or individually. So I think that's a good time for me to hand over to John. We will be taking questions again.
Hello, everyone, and thank you, Paul. I hope that we can see my screen right now. We're back on the dashboard. And so Quest learning activities are the foundation of Slooh's Cosmic Classroom. Quest use Slooh's worldwide network of online telescopes to collect and analyze space phenomena and teach students specific aspects of astronomy, science, social studies, history, and other STEM topics, which keep students engaged and excited to learn. Now, when you're on the dashboard, there is a button right at the navigation bar called Quest. When you click on that, it'll bring you to a page that's like this. And so we have over 80 interactive lessons that challenge your students to use Slooh to collect and analyze data to form their own conclusions. And as you can see, there's many ways that you can filter through Quest to see what's available. You can even use this little search bar here to search for different concepts. For example, if we search for fusion, we can grab all of the quests that touch on the topic of fusion, which there's quite a number of them, since it happens in the centers of all stars.
I'm not sure everyone can see your screen. Paul, did you stop sharing yours? I just want to make sure everyone can see John's screen.
Yes, I did.
I see your screen. Okay. It looks like now it might be good.
Okay, well, let's just no, this is good. I mean, everybody's got to be able to see. So yeah, so there's in the navigation bar, there's a quest button. When you click on that, it shows you all of the quests that we have. Like I said, we have over 80 interactive quests for students. And you can use the search bar to search for different concepts like fusion, and it will actually give you all of the quests that touch on that related topic. What else is really awesome is Slooh has a learning progression for intro college courses. So a learning progression is a sequence of Quest learning activities designed to be used in a classroom or a lab class. These learning progressions are carefully curated from our entire collection of Quest learning activities that Slooh offers and designed to address concepts and topics that are taught in an introductory astronomy course. The learning progression starts off in the solar system, teaching students about things like what they can find in the solar system and lunar phases and features and Kepler's laws. and then and actually recreates the discovery of Pluto using Slooh's telescopes. And then students start to leave the solar system and go into the Milky Way proper and learn about how big and how far some nebulae are. They learn about stellar evolution, learn about different kinds of nebulae. And then towards the end of the learning progression, students enter deep space where they leave the Milky Way galaxy, learn about the different types of galaxies out there. And towards the end of learning progressions, there's a quest where students actually make their own Hubble tuning fork diagram using images that they capture from Slooh. And so with these learning progressions, educators can look at their syllabus and then use these learning progressions to say, okay, those are the quests that I want to assign. And that's exactly what Anna showed earlier and what Paul showed us as well, that you can assign quests to your students right from the workspace. Now, I want to talk more about Quest learning activities themselves. So I want to dive into one particular quest. Well, we're going to start on this quest, but I'm going to show you a myriad of different quests just to show you the different range of diversity topics that we teach here at Slooh. So I'm going to start with the How Far quest. And so when you click on how far, it'll bring you to a quest overview page like this. And there's a lot of information for educators and for students. There's an about this quest and an observation challenge. It clearly states how many gravity points that a student would earn once they complete the quest. And there's objectives and lesson information. But moreover, there's two buttons at the top. There's a quest report, which is what students would generate and turn in for grading. But we also have a teacher resources button, and the teacher resources offer additional classroom planning and engagement support, including classroom discussion topics, hands-on activities. It includes some quest tips for success for you running this quest in your classroom. It also includes definitions to all the vocabulary terms, and most importantly, an answer key to every question that's in the quest. Now, if I scroll down a little bit, we can see a top-down view of the quest itself. So we can see that the quests are a series of steps. Now, let's jump into step one. So right at the top of step one, there's quest goals that are clearly laid out so that students know the main points that they're about to learn in the quest. And we also show the vocabulary terms that students will learn as well. They're indicated at the beginning of each quest, and they're clearly defined at the end of the quest as well for students. And along the way, students are assessed on their understanding of these terms through various questions. Now, like I said, I'm going to jump between a few quests to show you some of the activities that students do. So I'm going to jump now over to one of my favorite quests, the Milky Way Doppelganger quest, where students learn about the different kinds of galaxies there are in the universe, what kind of galaxy the Milky Way is, and a little history on how we even determine those details of our home galaxy. Now, what's really neat is that students can schedule missions on the telescopes directly from the Quest learning activity. And this is a way to ensure that students are capturing exactly what they need to complete the quest that they're working on. So for this quest, students need to schedule a mission to one of these spiral galaxies. Now, we've told the students which months they're visible in the telescopes across all of our observatories, and that's a real world consideration that they'll need to grapple with. So they choose which galaxy that they want to capture. And once they make their decision, they click on one of these links and it'll take the students directly to a page where they can schedule their missions for the quest. Now, one really cool feature of Slooh's Quest learning activities is that the images that students capture are used throughout the quest. So here, there is a question, name your capture, and there's a placeholder image here. And so let's see what happens when I add an image to the data collection module here. So I click Find Image, and it's going to query all of those galaxies that were on that table that I just shown. And so I really like this Whirlpool Galaxy. The Whirlpool Galaxy is so beautiful. And so, as you can see, once I put the image into the data collection module, that placeholder was replaced with the image that I just put in. So students are using and analyzing their own images in the quest itself. And this also means that a neighboring student or a neighboring group of students, if they chose to go on a mission to a different spiral galaxy, they would be analyzing a different galaxy than theirs. So it's really exciting. Now, I did mention assessment when speaking about the vocabulary terms, and I want to take a closer look at some of the ways that students learn on Slooh with quests. So student learning is supported by formative assessment. We have multiple choice questions, short answer, and simple activities to help students check their understanding along the way. Students are analyzing their captured images to explain the phenomena in paragraph form as they progress through the quest's self-guided activities. We have engaging animations and videos to apply their learning. We also have poster and drawing activities that are highly interactive that have students actually using their images to complete the activities. And then students answer assessment questions pertaining to the activity that they just finished. Students learn how to obtain, evaluate, and communicate the information they're learning, and the output is clear whether or not the student answers correctly or incorrectly. Now, other flavors of assessment found through Slooh's quests are mathematics walkthroughs that ensure students understand the reasoning behind certain equations and why they work with particular units. In this example from the How Far quest teaches students about unit conversions, and students use unit conversions to convert distances to celestial objects into different units depending on the domain of space that they're in, either the solar system, Milky Way, or deep space. We also have fail comfortably free response questions that encourage students to use their reasoning skills to explain certain phenomena before learning about a topic, and then they'll update their responses afterwards. So this, for example, is from our Stars Like Ours quest, where students watch a video of the sun expanding and turning red, and they're asked to explain what they're seeing. Well, after learning about how stars like the sun turn into red giant stars, they'll be able to fully explain what's going on in the video. So while on Quest, students learn how to develop, create, and use models while planning and carrying out authentic scientific investigations. Now, every Slooh quest culminates in students creating a poster-sized infographic that showcases the images students captured themselves with Slooh's telescopes, demonstrating mastery of the content. They use these posters as a summative assessment and share them in student portfolios and in their workspaces. In most cases, their infographic posters incorporate their responses to questions within the quest. These personalized infographics generate a spirit of accomplishment for the student while providing an easy tool to recall the content they learned while on the quest. Now, as I mentioned earlier, since students are using their own captured images and students can also edit and redesign all elements on the poster, every student poster is unique. No two posters are alike. And this flexibility allows students to explore their artistic expression and create something that speaks to them and for them. Thank you. Back to Anna.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Boisvert. Thank you, Paul, as well. That was an awesome demo. We are kind of right on time. So we have a couple extra minutes for questions. There's already some in the Q&A. I did see one in the chat that I want to just say aloud is that, yes, you can invite all of your students to join your workspace via one link. And we actually give you the option to have the university purchase those $30 account in bulk, or have the students buy their own accounts as like a lab fee, which compared to a textbook, students kind of love. All right, let's look into the Q&A. There's a question, what type of exercises do you provide for students to learn how to use the platform? We have a really good demo video on the platform that we typically send out. And as they log in for the first time, there'll kind of be videos navigating them through the platform as well.
And also, Anna, we've got beginner quests, and beginner quests introduce some basic astronomical concepts, but they teach the student how to use the platform at the same time, which is really important, because what we found is, once again, you guys have not got the time to learn a new platform in order for your students to use it. And what you'll very quickly find is that your students will whiz through the first couple of beginner quests and they will know the platform like the back of their hand and actually turn into classroom assistants for you, is what we do find quite often.
Yes. There's another question about updates on new sites from the given 2023 dates. This year we launched our Australian observatory. I think that's the biggest update. Correct, Paul? Yeah. Yep. And then, Paul, there's a question too about the Canary 5 and chromosphere versus photosphere images. If if you can clear that one up.
Okay, I'm not seeing those questions popping up. But so we run this very highly specialized telescope. What we do is we tune it differently so that we're able to show different layers of the sun. So that particular student captured a whole series of images this morning when we were showing the photosphere view. And then the one that they captured a few weeks ago was of the chromosphere, but that student actually in their shared observation said their next project is to do the same thing on the same day. And they're actually going to use our animation quest so that they can animate between the two, so that they can see how those features, how those sunspots are in active regions, probably driving a lot of activity in the chromosphere above it.
Awesome. There's another question. Are the quest essays graded by AI, or do we have to do them individually? John, do you want to speak a little bit about the grading process? And then also another question you can answer too is the different formats that students can save posters in.
Yeah, definitely. The quest essays and all of the short answer questions, those are the ones that you'll need to grade on your own individually, just like a normal lab class. But I want to stress that the teacher resources have example answers in there, sample answers, and things that you should be looking out for in student responses. So hopefully that will help you out a little bit. And then the format for the posters are in a PNG format, but they're mini megapixels, and so they're big enough to actually print out on a plotting machine and hang up in the classroom.
And what we've seen with a lot of our most successful educators is they have printed off their best student posters and put them in the corridors outside science labs and their science classes. And that has actually been a major draw for new students joining their courses as well. University of New Hampshire started that one off, I think.
Thank you. There's another question. Can you show an example of an upper level course quest, which I know that you kind of did, John, in your presentation, but if you have certain questions about certain topics or different quest topics, you can email me and we can kind of dive into what could work best for your curriculum. Do students have live, oh, sorry, it's moving around. Do students have live view of the sky through the telescopes, or are they scheduled to capture the objects? So it's all live. Like you saw, you can hop on and they can get that live view in the moment, or they can schedule ahead of time their own mission where they're controlling and choosing the object. So both.
And Nagusi, if you missed the beginning of the demo, I actually showed the live telescope views from the Australia 1.5 meter telescope and our solar telescope in the Canary Islands, which are both currently online.
Exactly. And then Paul, there's a question about standard filter sets that are available.
Yep, there's a mix on different telescopes, but you'll see these, so they're available for some of our advanced accounts, photometric filters currently installed on Australia 1 and on the Chile 2 telescope. They're going to be installed on the Canary 1.5 meter and the 17-inch telescope in the Canary Islands next year. We've also got spectroscopy coming, low resolution spectroscopy coming next year as well.
Awesome. That looks like all of the questions for now, but please don't hesitate to reach out to any of our emails. They're very straightforward emails to memorize. I will also be sending you an email with this recording and follow-up info. If you want a one-on-one demo with just you and your department, I'm happy to do that. But the onboarding process is very seamless, and hopefully we can get some of your students on Slooh next semester.
Anna, Benjamin just asked a question about, do the learning modules have a big gap between answering questions and taking observations? So when a student captures an image, like I did earlier, that is immediately available in the Quest data collection module that John showed you. So that image shows up immediately. The FITS data, somebody, Wes was asking about FITS data earlier, that is made available the following day. So the FITS start uploading the following day, but FITS is not used within the quest. We do have a FITS viewer as well, so they can just go to their missions and you can see a little button, you press that and you see all of the FITS data, because we're obviously taking luminance, red, green, blue, and other filtered images.
All right. Thank you so much. I think that answers everything. And yeah, we will be in touch with all of you with the recording, so you can just rewatch it over and over again and get to know Slooh like the back of your hand.
Thank you for spending some time with us.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you all. Cheers.